so you literally want to harden your home.
Okay.
We'll talk about some options for that. Doesn't make you paranoid to prepare, it just means that you care.
Got
The
it.
game has changed.
There you
And
go.
so that means we need to up our game. They're so sophisticated, they jam security systems. Kevin,
What's
what's
up?
up, my homie?
Oh, same old up here in Canada. It's pretty crazy down there in the States, though, eh?
Man, you name it. We got it going on right now.
No
Big
kidding. Wow.
storms,
Yeah.
freaking major election and political stuff going on, economic
Yeah.
stuff happening. Yeah, a lot of interesting thing. As you know, my wife Marissa works in surgery,
Hmm.
and there's a a a plant that makes saline and IV bags that was hit by the hurricane in North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, just at her one surgery center that she works at, they've had to
Yeah.
cancel all elective surgeries, and they don't have enough saline and they don't have enough IV bags. Think
Wow.
about that. And that's just one surgery center.
That's great.
So it really highlights just how fragile our economy is. They've had to people are furloughed.
Wow.
Doctors, people can't work. They can't do the surgeries. And
Wow.
that's just one niche within one industry. And it
Right.
shows how fragile our distribution and economy is in the United States. One
Yeah.
thing, one item.
Yeah. Yeah. It just shuts everything down. Wow. That's crazy,
Boom.
man. That's crazy. But that's what will happen when. Never mind. All right. We're on to our self-defense today, though. And today we're going to be talking about how to protect your family at home. This is something that you have a lot of experience in, and this is something that you even teach as well. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and information, brother.
Yeah, for those who don't know, on top of everything else, I'm an executive protection agent and I do consulting for businesses and families of different kinds, and making evaluation on their home security. Um, Home security is a really big deal right now. There are the home invasions and crimes within the home from outside uh, antagonists are way up, and
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're going to continue to go way up.
Yeah.
Um, there's more skill that's involved with this than you think, and many of the people who think that their skills are relevant may find that those skills are the least relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like this industry, right? This industry sells what is most irrelevant most of the time. What we're
Yeah.
going to talk about is really critical. The right people will want to listen to this because it's not necessarily the sexy stuff. Some of it might be, but
Yeah.
it's the stuff that matters the most. And if you don't mind me just jumping right in, there's something I'd like to emphasize that might seem a little out of left field, but it directly pertains to what we're talking about. Is that okay?
Please, please.
Um, I'm going to start out wide, big picture when it comes to home security. And then I'm going to work my way in sort of closer and closer and get more granular as we go. So I want to start with a hypothetical.
Okay.
Um, that's where a high stakes hypothetical, where let's just say hypothetically we're in a without rule of law situation and we're dealing with a critical incident that is spreads across your entire country.
Okay.
Who knows what that might be, right? Maybe there's some type of a mass terror event or something like that, and the grid is down and we're without rule of law.
Okay.
I'm going to make a strong suggestion for 99.9% of the people watching this. If you're in that 0.1% of the population, you'll know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, One, don't go looking for trouble. You don't need to be a cowboy, and I don't recommend that you be a cowboy.
Yeah.
The 0.1% of the population who are cowboys, who are well trained to leave their immediate area,
Yeah.
to do things, they'll know who they are. Outside of that, that is going to create problems. Here's my strong suggestion. Stay close to home. The farther out that you get, the more extended that you get from your home, the more vulnerable you and your family and your loved ones or group are going to be. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be on a security patrol for your immediate neighborhood.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be to figure out where checkpoints should be and know who's on patrol in the neighborhood, because people within that neighborhood know who belongs there. Let me repeat that. The people within that neighborhood know who belongs there. And if you get outside of your neighborhood, you don't know who doesn't belong, and they may interpret that you don't belong too.
Very true. Very true.
So if you can secure your immediate area, if almost everybody does that in a situation, a hypothetical situation like that, then that would go a very long way.
Yeah, and I mean it, like, in the military, it was, securing your inner perimeter, securing your outer perimeter. There are people who are going to be protecting the outer perimeter because they're highly trained and they know what to do. But in urban dwelling, that's tough to do sometimes. If you're outside of the city on an acreage, it's a little bit easier, maybe, right? It could be a little bit harder as well. But I remember when you and I were just first meeting and we started talking about this, and I threw a couple of hypotheticals at you. Right. And one of the ones was, if there was a home intruder and somebody did break in, right, is what would you do? And do you remember how you answered, or?
I'm pretty sure I'd remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Do you want to?
we're going to get to that.
Yeah. 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 I'm so stoked because it blew my mind. It's so simple. And somebody who's as highly trained as yourself, right? I totally would have done what the military trained me to do with clearing and things like that. And then after the conversation with you, boom, changed it immediately. Like immediately. So I can't wait till we get to that. Because
It's a very different, remember, context dictates strategy.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Right. Context dictates strategy. That's one of our slogans at IDS. And so your context is different.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. I have an outline here for those that are watching moving forward here that will help give you a much more realistic understanding for what this means.
Nice.
Now, mind you, this is going to go way deeper than what I can put today. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Then we have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to give you the basic concepts.
Yeah.
And the basic information that you need to know to help you make some basic decisions. So don't think that this is all of it. It's not even close.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you what we can. That's going to be what we consider to be the most important today. And I think I just gave you something a few minutes ago that is also very important. Don't dismiss what I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are reasons why I've said that.
Yeah.
From some very high level credible sources.
Yeah.
It's not as improbable as it might sound.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the different types of crimes that happen inside the home. There's some misconceptions there.
Nice.
Bear with me, guys, if we're watching at home. If you see my eyes, I've got an outline next to me on my laptop here. So if you see my eyes go off to the side, I'm going to be reading this so I can kind of go in an order that makes sense.
I thought your donkeys were attacking you.
Did you see that little miniature donkey kicking the ass of
I
that?
sent it to you, the hyena.
Oh yeah, you did.
Every time I get a donkey video, I'm like, send it to Todd. These donkeys are badass.
That little miniature donkey was kicking that hyena's ass.
Big.
I got confused because like 30 people sent that to me.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Okay, sweet.
They always
embody our inner donkeys. Yes.
Seriously, like, and you guys, you've heard me use the metaphor.
Yeah.
But aren't they the kindest, sweetest, most innocent? Kevin's met my miniature donkeys, Blossom and Boo Boo.
Yeah.
But they're
Ferocious,
straight
man.
up ass kickers
Yeah, which is
too, right?
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
awesome, man. For every action,
Right.
there's an equal and opposite
Squirrel,
reaction.
squirrel moment. Like, get used to it, guys.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, Kevin sent me this video of this miniature donkey taking down a hyena. A hyena,
Yeah,
one of the most vicious predators on the planet.
yeah.
A hyena just ragdolling it
Like nothing. So
like
awesome.
nothing. It was just so casual, just
Yeah,
ragdolling that thing, and it couldn't do a thing about it.
yeah.
And the other donkeys would usually come over and stomp it to death after that.
Oh, wow, crazy.
Yeah, they're really amazing pets.
Very
Okay,
cool.
so the
Yeah.
first one
Okay.
is the most common, and it's burglary. And
Mm,
how do you know how to classify burglary? Is the first thing is there's nobody home.
okay.
They've broken and entered your home and they've stolen something when you're not there. So that's a burglary. So the intent behind burglary is theft of property.
Okay.
So the question is, what do you do if you come home
Mm,
and you realize that your home has been broken into?
okay.
I heard a social media influencer who has a huge following in the firearms training world,
Uh-oh.
huge,
Here we go.
and he told a story of a friend of his that doesn't live far away from his who had a burglary who called him
Yeah.
because the police weren't showing up, which isn't uncommon these days, right?
Yep. Yep. Especially where
And he
you.
said on camera, some of you are going to be mad at me about this, but I went with him to his house and we brought out our weapons and we cleared his house. I wanted to strangle him. I wanted to strangle him. Now,
No
some of you
kidding.
are at home might be going, well, what's wrong with that? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you clear your house?
Yeah.
If you knew how dangerous that was, if you knew how unpredictable that was,
Yeah.
the level of danger zones and blind spots, and if you have a dangerous criminal that feels as though they're cornered, how
Yeah.
dangerous it is, and the legal ramifications and civil ramifications of that decision when all you had to do was stay outside of your house,
Yeah.
get on the phone, you can be carrying concealed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now you have your weapon out. Now they have a rifle and they're picking you up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole thing is an unnecessary risk and escalation so that you can do cool guy shit and hop on your social media to talk about it so you can get it right. And then even though you've said not to do it, the unconscious doesn't hear the word not, don't, won't.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what you've just told 3 million people is to do exactly what you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what I want to say to that? You did something dramatically irresponsible,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
People will imitate and emulate you because they look up to you.
Yeah. Well, and that's the responsibility that the social media influencer should have, right? And like it's funny, it's almost like we talk about things of the videos that I post today completely by accident, but like today it was the same thing if you haven't seen yet of there's a guy who gets approached by two guys on a motorcycle. They take the phone, the guy gets back on the motorcycle and appears to like drive away or want to drive away, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then the guy goes and reaches for the gun. And it's like, why are you doing that for material possession? Why are you doing these things? And I put myself in that situation of I want to get my family back in the house. I want to make sure that the house is safe. I want to return to the luxuries of my life when really I should be getting my family to a hotel, getting them to sleep, staying the F out of the situation, letting the police do their job, even if it takes a week or a month. Like, I know it seems ridiculous, but that's actual self-defense is when you're preventing things from happening. And I think you nailed it, is the ego took over and said, yeah, for sure, I'll help you clear your house, when if he's the leader, he should be like, that's pretty dangerous to do. We shouldn't clear the house
Ego and images of lots of views, clicks, and comments.
yeah,
Let's not forget that part.
for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And because he knew he was going to make a social media video out of it.
Well, he did.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he knew that before he got the call,
Yeah.
right? We know how it works.
Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing. Cool content, right?
Go
Always looking for
viral.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah, go viral. And then to add to that, which will be a part of this conversation as we continue, if time allows,
Yeah.
in most jurisdictions, now you should know what the laws are in your jurisdiction. This is something we can talk about. You can't use lethal force to prevent damage or theft of property.
Yeah.
Not all jurisdictions, but in most.
Same
Okay,
as in
so now,
Canada, even as a security guard, it's the same thing.
yeah,
Lethal
for
force,
sure. It's
lethal
it's the
force is
same here.
not. Yeah.
Right. Damage or loss or theft of property, you can't use lethal force. You can use force,
Yeah.
but now if that escalates, then you have to use lethal force. That becomes a real mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can talk about some other laws later, but I want to keep going through this. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Just, yeah, real quick. In your opinion, then, is what that influencer did, is that illegal? Like he cleared the house with his friend. He didn't, like, nothing happened.
He lives in Texas, so
Oh,
it's not illegal.
okay.
I mean, I can't speak. I can only speak to the general laws of Texas.
Yep.
Each
Yep.
jurisdiction is different, but my guess would be knowing the general concept of laws in Texas for in that capacity that it was legal.
It was legal. Okay.
But a major tactical error
Yes.
and decision-making error, big time.
And maybe that's where, like I always try and give people the benefit of doubt. Plus, I love playing devil's advocate. I'm an ass like that. Right? Is it what is their mindset right now? Am I allowed to go into my house and clear my house? Yes, I'm legally allowed to do so. Should I? Is a whole nother story, right? But maybe that was his thought there of it's legal for me to do it. I have the training, I might as well.
Okay, whatever, Kevin.
Well, it's but like that,
Sure, I'm
but like
sure
see,
that's what he
like
was thinking at the time. He
right.
he projected his own intentions in the video and says, "Some of you are going to be mad at me about this,
Yeah,
right?"
very true.
So
Very
now he
true.
had his disclaimer out there. So
Yeah,
now, right? No,
yeah.
dude. No, sorry,
I agree.
sorry, dude.
Agree 100%. I mean, same comment in the video. Well, if I'm a black belt and if I'm trained against an assailant, I should
Look,
go after the
okay,
gun. It's like, no,
okay.
you didn't. Like,
I
what do
was
you
gonna wait to save this part until later, but I'm just gonna say it now. All
do
right, since you drew it out of me, Kevin.
it? You know, I
I'm
like
not
you're
exaggerating.
there, bro.
I'm not exaggerating what I'm about to say.
Yeah,
I have close friends that are full-time professional high-speed operators
yeah.
who do CQB together
Yeah.
on the same team
Oh, wow.
every day
Yeah,
for years and years and years. This is their forte. They're
yeah,
masters of this stuff. Okay. And
yeah,
they happen to be my teachers.
yeah,
Okay. When it comes to CQB of different types,
yeah,
close quarters battles of different types. Okay. I've had many of in-depth conversations over the last 13 years with these guys. All
yeah,
right. They will tell you if we have a burglary or if we have a home invasion,
yeah,
we will not use our skills unless we absolutely have to. It is far too dangerous for us.
good.
And these guys are armed to the teeth and they are skilled beyond your understanding.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so if they won't do it, they would barricade themselves in a room,
yeah,
get on the arm themselves in a safe space, get on the phone with authorities immediately, and
yeah,
begin to yell commands throughout the house. Kevin knows this. I have a megaphone in my bedroom
yeah. Amazing. So,
and
so
a
smart.
megaphone in my bedroom
So
that
smart.
my wife or I can we can yell commands through the house with the megaphone that says, we are armed. If you come up those stairs or down this hallway, we will defend ourselves. Things like the police are on the way. You're going to want to leave the house right now.
Yeah.
Right. Things like that. That's a major deterrent.
Huge.
Right.
Yeah.
The old outdated bull that says, if they hear the rack of a shotgun, right, and do your solo CQB skill. Like, there's a time and a place for that. Don't get me wrong, and we'll get to
Yeah.
when that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But I just gave you, like, no matter how skilled you are, do you have a rehearsed security plan?
Yeah.
For you and your family? Okay. When I start breaking this down, how this works, you will have a better understanding as to why I say that.
Yeah. Well, and I
Okay?
mean, being, obviously ex-military and doing close quarter combat training and CQB training, if you're first in the door, you're usually shot, right? And people don't understand that. It's like, oh, you have a 4-man stack, but remember, the army wants, they have expendable soldiers, right? As much as they don't want to lose a soldier and they do care for you guys and kind of, right? Is if you're 4-man stack and the first guy's gone, guess what? They just send another guy up and you have 4, right? So it's built for something else completely. But when you
And you're on a
force on
team
force,
and you're on a well-trained team, and you have body armor,
yeah,
and you've gathered intelligence,
exactly.
and you sent the dogs in first,
Yeah,
and then you've sent the robots
yeah,
in, and you have backup on the way, and you have, medics on the team, and right, I mean, and
yeah,
you have an armored vehicle outside, and you have air support, and you have comms, and
yeah,
your wife and kids aren't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. This is
yeah,
the stuff I'm trying to say. These are some of the things I've been trying to say to the industry forever.
yeah.
Like, have you really broken down the realities of this for your students? Or have you like had a little side note and said, probably don't want to do this very often, but hey, let's spend the next 3 days and $3,000 working on it.
Right. Because it's badass and it looks cool and it gives you a false confidence and all these. I mean, that's exactly what you and I believe is wrong with the martial arts world, right? But it's not just martial arts world. It's this whole industry. It's this
Look,
whole paradigm.
I teach solo CQB and 2-man CQB for citizen defenders, and I teach team CQB for SWAT teams. So
Yeah,
don't go give me this crap for those of you who are watching. Oh, well, he just doesn't know. He's not trained yet. No, 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 no. This is what I do for a living.
yeah,
Okay, so don't give me this crap.
yeah,
I'm here to save lives. And there's a
yeah.
time and a place for this stuff. Don't misunderstand me, but it's not your top priority. Not even close.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
stop with the cosplay, just because I might be challenging your belief systems a little bit, and just
Yeah,
because that you might be experiencing some cognitive dissonance that's making you uncomfortable,
yeah,
then you're going to have to put your emotions and your feelings aside and get down to what matters most.
yeah,
You've been indoctrinated by an industry
yep. Yeah. It's
that
crazy.
makes them money and gives them prestige.
It's so
This
crazy.
is what
So
this is what
crazy.
I'm trying to tell. This is what I'm trying to tell. What I'm trying to tell the public.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why, like, again, guys, this is why we do these podcasts. These are hard truths, right? And I mean, that's why we're trying to make a difference, like legit. You can see how passionate Todd is about it. You can see how much I respect him. You can see how passionate I am about it because we understand that something is broken. But let's get into the brass tacks of, okay, how do we help people?
Yeah,
Because we know it's wrong.
yeah.
Let's do
If
it.
I get so passionate about this, if Kevin wasn't on the other, like in Canada right now, I would kick his ass on camera for fun,
Oh, okay.
just for fun. And
Yeah.
then I would say I was sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And
that's
then I would do it again.
at least you're Canadian about it.
All
Oh,
right, moving on. Got to bring a little levity to it, right?
for sure. For sure, brother. For sure.
Um,
The self-defense industry is broken, wouldn't you agree? Have you gone from martial art to martial art looking for the responses that you need to have for a self-defense situation? Well, I spent 35 years training in martial arts. I acquired 7 different black belts to find out that when I pressure tested their shit, it didn't work. So what did I do? I had to come up with my own system. Make sure to check it out at budobrothers.com. Build the confidence you need to stay safe.
Moving on, robbery is the next one. The difference between a burglary and a robbery is that someone is home.
Okay.
And the intent is theft of property. And here's a note. While theft of property is the primary intent, the criminal may become dangerous if they believe they are trapped. And another reason why I got upset with what's his name did.
Yeah. Wow.
It can also be difficult to discern intent during a robbery, and the intent can change. So you might be home and they might not seem dangerous at first.
Yeah.
If you make contact with them.
Yeah.
But that can change in a blink. They're masterful at this. This is what they do. Now it gets worse than that, because now these criminals don't just see physical items as property. They steal people. And they'll harm people first.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for forcible rape to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
During a burglary, just because.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're psychos, they're narcissists, right? And they're planning on just doing a B&E, and now they have witnesses. Right?
Great point.
Everything changes.
I'll tell you one thing though, and not to be contrary, but this is a fact, and you can find lots of videos online of this. They don't care if you're home.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Now there's videos of people with their cell phone in their hand while people are breaking in through a window. They see that they're being recorded and they continue to fight their way into the house or the door or wherever.
Yeah. I just posted that.
You did?
Yeah. Like 2 days ago, it was the black male on the outside of the house, and he's bashing in the window, and it's like, wow. Yeah, I told people to barricade themselves in the bathroom if they don't have weapons or if they can't just leave.
Good. That broad daylight, they're doing it in broad daylight. They're becoming more and more brazen all the time.
Yeah.
Just a quick story. I won't take too long with this, but a friend of mine who's a police officer in the city that I live.
Yeah.
He and his wife had a home invasion. And they barricaded and called their own department in which they work.
Yeah.
And his own department didn't show up until 2 days later.
Holy, what? Wow.
Our departments here have been I don't know if I can say that word, but our departments here have been like if you take money away.
Yeah.
They've had and resources to right? And so, and not only that, they're the law enforcement. Yeah, law enforcement is in a situation where they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. So most of the time they don't. So that means that you're on your own, and they come write a report 2 days later. You're lucky.
Later. Wow.
The only reason they probably showed up was just because he was on the department with them.
Well, who knows? Who knows, right? Man, that's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So if they're showing up 2 days later for one of their own in the fraternal order of police, what do you think they're going to do for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next one is a home invasion. Excuse me. To categorize a home invasion, someone is home. And this often happens without warning, with speed and aggression. Violence is the primary intent, and they're usually ready and willing to use violence. They're commonly in groups of 2 to 5 people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kevin knows I've been working in executive protection detail lately. I don't do this full time, but I do it from time to time.
Yeah.
For a family who has been targeted. They're getting very sophisticated. I'm just going to use the word they for now.
Okay.
the audience can imply who they are.
Yeah.
They're getting very sophisticated with targeting. They're doing reconnaissance. They're using drones.
Wow.
And I want them to, I've intentionally been visible so they see me armed.
Yeah.
They find the floor plan of the home online.
Wow. Holy shit.
They're so sophisticated they jam security systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
They follow them and find out what the patterns are. And it goes on and on. And it just so happens that one of these family members that I'm doing executive protection work for was followed for 25 minutes. And that was what tipped them off. That started the investigation. And I can't tell you too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you this is happening all across the country in the United States.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say too much more about it, but there's a reason why I wanted to talk about this today.
For sure. And much appreciated. Much appreciated. Because the more relevant we can be, hopefully we actually can help people.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are, and I don't want to spend too much time on it or give up too much here, but you get the idea. And these are people who are let's just say, extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
These aren't your average, burglars with the hood on and the 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
These are the most evil, dangerous people in the world that are working who are organized.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, incredibly organized. And a lot of people don't realize how, maybe not the right word. They don't give criminals the amount of respect that they should.
100%.
Right? They're just like, oh, what do you mean? They're just poor, they need money and things like that. It's like, no, there's some people who are, when this is a full-time job, I don't want it to make it sound like a movie, but we gotta be smarter than that.
The game has changed. And so that means we need to up our game. This is one of the things, when I'm talking with these families, they called me, Todd,
yeah.
Right. And I don't want that to scare them, right?
Yeah.
Calm. I'm very calm with the tone, and I'm trying to give them a dose of what the reality of the situation is without scaring them.
Yeah.
But we need to get in touch with what the reality of these situations are. And one of the things I said to them guys, they're high net worth, and the world has changed around you. You're a little bit out of touch because you have this buffer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're kind of out of touch, and you don't really deal with what the rest of the world is dealing with here.
Yeah.
And you're in this bubble. And so I want to tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And I need to tell you, what you need to do and what we need to be prepared for. We need to get organized. And the point I'm making is the world is changing around us, and that means we need to adapt to it.
100%. 100%. But that's where information, right? Once you said the drones, I was like, yeah, you're doing outer perimeters, hopefully with an assault rifle, so that you have criminals looking and saying, we are a hard target, stay away from us, go find the other ones first.
And I don't want anything to happen to the other ones either.
For sure.
Hopefully they're watching. Kevin's such a heartless bastard. He's like, go hit them. We fuck those guys. No, I'm kidding. We all know Kevin's not a heartless bastard.
Thank you.
Right. But yeah. And this isn't an overreaction. And one of the things I said to them was well, it feels so weird. I feel so paranoid. I'm like, my background's psychology, Kevin. I was a therapist, right? When you're paranoid, there's no rational point of origin.
Yeah. Yeah, you're alert.
This is a rational point of origin. We have a lot of evidence that says that. And not only that, doesn't make you paranoid to prepare. It just means that you care.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So you're here you want to protect your family. You want to protect hearth and home.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we're saying this is because not everyone has the means to hire an executive protection detail.
For sure.
Or the time. So we need to be able to do as much of these things that we're going to talk about today on our own.
Yeah. Nice.
Right.
Sweet. So what are some things?
So
Or are we
let's talk about the imperative that you have for prevention and deterrence.
okay?
That's the bit what Kevin was talking about, but maybe not so high visibility in most cases. Then
Yeah.
just so the audience knows too, in this case, I while this is a high, the risk level of this case I was talking about was pretty high.
Yeah.
I still wanted to check in and find out how the neighbors felt, other people who could get eyes on and see to make sure they weren't going to feel uncomfortable. What level of visibility can I employ here without freaking everybody else out?
Yeah. Yeah.
What vibe do I need to have? And I'm not going to go into all the details of how that works, but these are
Yeah.
things to take into consideration.
Mm,
There's an overreaction too that causes more problems than it needs to.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like Kevin was saying, criminals prefer easy soft targets. So we want to make sure our home is not an easy and a soft target. So we want to have the appearance of a hard target and so that's on the appearance at first glance, but also because of the limitations of live fire and the restrictions of most live fire ranges, we've realized we have to do things differently, and we want to do things differently. We take a principle-based, integrated, and holistic approach to our training that includes pistol craft, weapons-based combatives, as well as soft self-defense skills and education, designed specifically with the citizen defender in mind, in a way that can be done anywhere by anyone. So how do we do that? What does that look like? It's not really something I can explain to you. It's something I have to show you. So stick with us, and together, we'll make the world a safer place. So you literally want to harden your home.
Okay.
And we'll talk about some options for that. So the first one I want to talk about is operational security. Be mindful and discreet about what you and your loved ones talk about and have on display. Do not motivate criminals to target your home.
Mm,
Even where I live, and my neighbors are like family here, but
Yeah.
I don't know who's driving by. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things. So things of value that I might be using or taking in and out of my home or transporting, I'm very careful about how I go about that,
mm,
because people will look and they'll talk and they'll see. One of the other things that with this case I forgot to mention is that this is how sophisticated they are, Kevin. Their network is. They have spotters.
yeah.
So they have people who are working construction on a contract who will act as a spotter to let them know what they have inside of their home,
Yeah.
or
Do
a cleaning
find
or
that
a cleaning person, or a. Go ahead.
those people like, do you think that they're sought out, or do you think that they're actually placed there?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just wondering, you're a data guy, if you had anything.
Maybe a combination of both.
Yeah,
But your OPSEC, your operational security, is a really big deal.
Mhm.
Be careful what kinds of things you're flaunting right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Be careful with what your appearances are. You know, kind of you kind of play that. I'm just going to say play that smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
Next, a well-lit exterior all the way around your home and avenues of approach to your property.
Yeah.
This is something I'm very conscientious about that I do here, even on my farm. But I'll tell you, yesterday I went online and I bought a dozen motion activated security lights
Nice.
just to have even more strategically placed around the property,
Yeah.
and they're solar powered.
Yeah.
So if there's a grid down situation or something like that, they'll continue to work.
Smart.
So there are things like that, like being very well lit. On the other hand, if you're in a grid down situation and everyone else's lights are out and you're all looking like Christmas time, that might be something else. These security lights will go off after 30 seconds, right?
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
not like they're going to illuminate things all the time. There's
Yeah.
ways of using light or not using light for many
Yeah.
reasons. As Kevin's nodding his head, he knows. That's another lesson probably that we could get into down the road.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Kevin.
It's also one like I love cars, right? So I'm always worried about my cars, and by the time that I'm done teaching at nighttime, it's 9:30. I'm driving home, and you drive down the road and you see lights off, lights off, lights off, lights off, hugely lit house, lights off, lights off, lights off, hugely lit lights. Like you can see that I have my lights on all the time. And, my girlfriend's always like, why you leave the lights on? I'm like, on purpose, babe. I'm like, I care about my car. I care about the safety. I care about these things. And she's like, do you think it's that much of a deterrent? And I'm like, let's go for a drive down the road. We drive down the road. I'm like, imagine you're a criminal right now. Which house would you attack? And she's like, well, it's light, light, dark, 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 dark. Probably the darkest one in the center. Right? Like
Yeah,
it's tiny little things like that that make a massive difference.
big time. And also, on a side note, which isn't in this particular presentation, but I'll mention it, they'll follow you home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like you're being followed, keep driving. Don't telegraph where your house is. If you make 3 left turns and they follow you, you have a tail. They're following you.
Yeah.
Drive to the police station. Get on the phone with 911. Keep driving. Make sure you're driving with your doors locked. Don't drive to a place where you can get trapped in. Things like that.
Yep.
Right? But don't go home.
Yeah.
Don't go home.
Yeah. There's a reason why they're tailing you. Yeah.
And also, if you do pull into a garage, be careful because they'll hop out when you can't see them, and then 3 feet before the door closes, they'll hop underneath the door, and now they're in the garage with you, or they'll pin you in and ambush you. There's a lot of stuff that happens
Yeah.
that we need to be more and more mindful about as things continue to deteriorate in society right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally agree. Totally
The
agree.
next one is visible surveillance cameras, and they're
Mm.
not expensive now.
Yeah.
You can get bundles of good stuff that has a good app on your phone, and there's no fee for the service and all that kind of stuff. And just having them is a great deterrent. They
Mm.
actually, if you want to, I like the real thing, but they make fake cameras for really inexpensive that have a light on them that lights up, that's solar powered, and you can
Oh,
have them
interesting.
everywhere, and you don't know they're not real.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's enough
Um,
of a deterrent.
yeah, exactly. Well displayed signage discouraging unwelcome guests. No trespassing or soliciting, or beware of dog, even
Mm.
if you don't have a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then dogs. Dogs are the next thing on the list. Dogs are a fantastic deterrent.
For sure.
This particular client who I've been talking about with this story, they do have 2 very well trained security dogs that they
Yeah.
have as pets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's a really great deterrent. And just a little side note that the audience might find interesting. I make it a point when I go to work for them that the client is great with this. I make sure that I spend time with the dogs so they
Mm.
know I'm their friend,
Yeah.
and they go and do security patrols with me.
Nice.
So that way we become a team, and
Yeah.
they understand what we're doing,
Yeah.
and they know if Todd goes into the house that Todd's not the intruder, and they'll fight with me instead of fight against me, which would be a very bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kidding.
Yeah, they've got 2 really nice security dogs, which is great. But
Yeah.
you need to be your friends, right? If your friends are coming to help you,
Yeah.
or people that the dogs maybe kind of know, you might want to change that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
True.
Next one, install solid core doors.
Mm.
This will slow down, discourage, if not completely prevent a forced entry.
Yeah.
This is a really good point of insurance. Most doors are not solid core.
Yeah.
And they can just be easily kicked in. So we want to have that. Additional deadbolts and door jams. There's these really cool devices that are door jams. So even if they get through the deadbolt, it's a jam under the door, and then it sets off an alarm when it's hit.
Yeah.
And so that sound is a great deterrent, and it lets you know where they're at. And the point is that you want to buy yourself time.
Yeah. To
So
barricade.
you have multiple factors happening here all at once.
Yeah.
Next one, reinforced windows and or security. There's inexpensive security film that you can put on the windows to make sure your windows are very difficult to break.
Mm.
Like 3M, if you're curious, like where to go,
Yeah.
3M makes a security film for your windows. So
Interesting.
you can see videos of it online, people taking sledgehammers to windows and they don't break.
And it's just a film.
It's just a film and you can see right through it.
Wow.
You don't even know it's there.
Yeah. That'd be great.
It's not
Actually, like
bulletproof, but
as we're doing this, I'm like looking at my living room. I'm like, hey, we're good, we're good, we're good. I'm like, I got a big pane door. Yeah, it's metal, but it's very easy to punch through the center of it or sledgehammer through it. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? Should I buy a new door? Right? Like ADD just takes over, and it's like, okay, no, film. Fantastic. There you go.
yeah.
Right.
And
Something
without
exists.
rule of law, all it takes is a brick or a rock.
Right. Yep.
They're climbing in or whatever. Now there's a sort of a grid down situation. You have a huge window that's out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Well,
problem.
yeah, it is. It is.
The next note that I have, while this information is being presented as a hierarchy, it's important to understand that the stages of these types of violent crime may not occur in any particular order. Be prepared to take decisive action as quickly and appropriately as possible. The most important thing there is decisive action.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in this loop of denial and wonder if something's happening. No, if it feels wrong, just go into your security plan. Don't wait to
Yeah.
see and find out. There's this weird thing that human beings do because, like, what are you going to do? You're going to embarrass yourself inside your own house? Like,
Yeah.
right? Just go, just do it, put it into action and rehearse it.
Yeah.
If you're not practicing on a regular basis, you probably won't do it.
Yeah, well, so true. I mean, even just having a conversation at the dinner table with the family of, okay, guys, like everybody's kind of like, not really engaging in conversation, or people are there's a stall in the conversation. As the protector in the family, it's like just throw something out. Hey guys, what would you do if somebody broke in the house right now? Right? And
Yeah.
just have the conversations about it, right? And where should we go? Oh, I don't know. Oh, what would we do? Right? So it will also help them be much more calm in that moment because
Yes.
you've already mentally trained it, even if you physically haven't.
Yes. I do recommend training it physically
Of
once a
course.
quarter. Once a quarter. Like
Once a
4
quarter.
times a year.
Yeah.
Just do a rehearsal like 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Well, just like fire drills at schools, right? They don't have to do it on a, monthly basis, but they still do it. And I mean, nowadays it's not even fire drills. Nowadays it's lockdown drills.
Yep.
Right. So
100%. So here's a hierarchy for people to understand the home, we call it the home defense hierarchy. The first one is deterrence, which we've already talked about. There are more things to deterrence. I know I'm leaving stuff out. You know how it goes, Kevin. He didn't say this, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just giving you a few things so I don't overwhelm you in this little conversation we're having.
Yeah.
Early recognition is a really big deal. So if you can set some type of alarms that go around your perimeter of your security that you can turn on that gets your attention ahead of time, that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Then slow down the threat. Anything that you can do to slow them down. Prevent, like, the more time you have, the better. Wait till I start giving you some data for how fast things typically happen. This will make more sense. And then evasion. Try to get a way to avoid the conflict if you can, to do so safely and reasonably. So have an evacuation plan too.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the really crazy things where I live, I'm not going to say the state right now.
Yeah.
We don't live in a castle doctrine state or stand your ground state. So if somebody breaks into your home,
Yeah.
you can't use lethal force.
Yeah.
And if they start stealing things, you have to let them. You can't use lethal force to prevent them from stealing it.
Yeah.
You can only use lethal force if they show some type of intent toward or commit a violent felony, which is a whole nother can of worms conversation.
Yeah.
And in fact, we can't even now, there's a new law where I live that you can't even use a lethal weapon as a deterrent unless you're reasonably in immediate fear of death or great bodily harm.
Man.
Now, something to keep in mind, though, it really comes down to the disparity in force. So it may not be disparity in force for you if you're a big, strong, healthy dude.
Yeah.
But it might be disparity in force for your wife or your children or an elderly parent or grandparent that's there with you or living in the home or a friend or somebody else that's there. The use of force might change for them.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind, but evasion is as much as it pains me to say it, the evasion should still be a part of your plan. They're
Yeah.
coming in the front door. You might be able to safely get out the back door where you have a car waiting where you can get away. Like this executive protection detail I'm working there, we have evasion plans too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can barricade in place, but it might be better. Okay, we have enough advance notice. We can go out the back driveway. Let's
Yeah.
just get it out of here now.
Yeah.
As opposed to having a situation turn worse, right?
Yeah, makes perfect sense, right? Well, and that's why we're doing this. It makes sense to us because we've thought about this and we've done the jobs and we've worked and we're professionals at it, right? But for the average person, maybe they've never even thought about this stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the stuff, no matter how well trained you are. This is the stuff.
It is.
The next one is barricade. We've talked about barricading. And then do not remove yourself from the barricaded location unless it's either 100% safe to do so or you need to take space to protect loved ones. Now we get into it, right?
Yeah.
You're in a barricaded space, you stay in there, but what if you have kids in another part of the house?
Yeah.
Now, this is where your CQB skills come into play because you're not going to just leave them there.
Yeah.
And do you have the ability to, even if they're barricaded, do you have the ability to communicate with them to know that they're safely barricaded?
Yeah.
And even so, how long will they be safely barricaded? Look, I'm going to say something that's going to make a lot of people very uncomfortable right now, okay? Children sell for a lot of money on the black market.
They do.
Okay? And so now's where your solo CQB skills or two-person CQB skills come into play when you have to go take a space to defend loved ones somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? That's the exception to our rule.
I mean, that's why I have my kids on my floor with me, right? Especially the youngest ones, is I at least can guarantee their safety. The teenagers, they're the ones that are going to have to work, right? But that's why you have walkie-talkies or cell phones or something like that, but they can be jamming all that stuff too, right? Like it depends. Yeah. It all depends on the level of intent of the criminals.
Having walkie-talkies in each bedroom is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one is fight. Stop the threat with the appropriate level of skill and force without hesitation. Have competence in hands-free skills is critical. That's the next one. So now let's get into the reality of this. Okay. Kevin's home with the family, sitting in front of the TV in his whitey tighties, eating Cheetos and drinking root beer.
Oh God, please don't picture that, everybody. I do not live that life. It would be cookies.
Definitely the whitey tighty part on the couch, but hey, we won't go.
Yeah, while wearing my parka, petting my Alaskan dog, who's hungry from the long trek in the snow.
He's got his muckalucks on, though. He's got his muckalucks.
Oh, man. Oh,
okay.
You're lucky that I'm not woke, bro. You're lucky.
I know what muckalucks are. I love muckalucks. I love muckalucks, dude. They're amazing.
I know.
but that's what Kevin wears. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Okay.
um, home invasion happens.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance that what's going to happen, even if you are armed. By the way, I'll just say this now: you have an average of 2 seconds to get to a force multiplier.
Wow. 2 seconds.
People
You
think,
know,
well, I'll
one
run
of
into
my
my
friends
room
in
and I'll get my
Texas.
gun out of the safe and I'll
Yeah,
undo the combination. And no, you have 2 seconds.
yeah,
So either it's on you or it's arm's length away.
yeah.
But even if it's arm's length away, chances are you won't grab it because
Two.
you'll have to go. What will typically happen is if you're well trained, and even if you're not, is that there's an intercept.
Yeah,
You go boom and you intercept them, and there's a fight and there's a struggle that happens.
yeah,
So this is one of the reasons for those of you who follow us, follow IDS, why we spend so much time training people how to fight in confined spaces.
yeah,
You're probably going to end up against a barrier, either having them against a barrier or yourself against a barrier. So you
yeah.
want to know how to use those barriers either as your asset or your liability.
Yes.
And there's nothing in between. It's either working for you or it's working against you. And you better have those hand-free skills because you're going to probably be going hands-free against a violent criminal
Mm,
in order to protect your family. That's probably what will happen first. I did a course for the Personal Defense Network a few years ago. And they said, we want you to do a home defense course. And we shot it here at my training center. They go, what do
yeah.
you want to do? I said, training, I want to teach people combatives in confined spaces. They're like, for home defense?
Mm,
I'm like, let me explain.
yeah,
Personal Defense Network,
yeah.
right? You think you guys would maybe know this, right? Let me explain. And then they went, oh, never thought of that. I'm like, you didn't think of it because you don't have the skills to do it.
Nah, true.
Now, I know how that sounds. You're like, Todd's such an arrogant asshole. No, you're the Personal Defense Network. You should know better.
You
You
should.
don't possess those skills. So therefore, you don't see that as a primary option for you to go to when you probably are going to have to go to that option.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or you think, or you have this fallacy in your mind that, oh, all your gun training will take over and, it's no problem. You're going to get rounds off before they have a chance. When in the
That
reality is you won't actually even have your weapon in your hand.
the whole point is to catch you off guard and
Yeah.
catch the family off guard if you're home.
Yeah.
And I have people in my life who have been, unfortunately, who have been through this.
Wow.
And they're not, this happened years ago and they're not over it yet.
Yeah,
They've not recovered from this
for sure.
experience that they had.
For sure.
Okay, I'm going to say something even a little bit more controversial that might seem a little bit more fringe. And
Okay.
it's something personal. Okay. It's to me, it's not a big deal, but for some people it might be.
Yeah.
Watching the trends closely, and this is something that Kevin and I do, and having sources that share direct information with us. And now in working on a direct case here, and it's here, I had a conversation with my wife 2 days ago. I said, honey, can we sit down and talk?
Mm.
I said, a day will probably come in the future where I will be carrying around the house everywhere I go at all times, even when I'm in bed, so sleep.
Wow.
I need you to start preparing for yourself for that mentally right now.
Smart. Very smart.
And I don't want to do that. You
No,
know, I
not at
have
all.
my weapons with, quick access and things like that. But
Yeah.
a day will come where there won't be any more. I'll be switched on all the time,
Yeah.
even when I sleep.
Yeah.
So something for the audience to file away and maybe think about having a conversation with your loved ones and what's going to be best for your circumstances. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's right. Knowledge is power and preparation. All those little things make a massive difference, right? And it's just people think, it's, oh, you're going to make your kid scared or you're going to make this or not. No, it's how you choose to present the information to your family, especially to kids, right? And be like, guys, you practice fire drills at home. Let's just practice this at home. It's not going to happen. We live in a safe environment. It's here, right? So I don't want you guys worrying about it. I don't want you, obsessing over it. But at this
Yeah.
point, like if daddy has to carry his gun on him at all times, there's a reason why.
And then the response times and all that stuff. And if you have to do an intercept or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Wow, man. Wow. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That blows me away. So, I mean, this is the essence then of what real self-defense is, right?
it is.
It's preparation for things to take place to prevent things from happening so that you never have to use the skills that Todd and I love training. We're so passionate about training. But really, the essence of everything that we do on a physical level, and by physical, I mean like assault, right, is your ability to prevent it. Well, it's the same thing for home security, ladies and gentlemen, and keeping your family safe is what plans do you have or what conversations have you had with your family that at
Yeah.
least everybody's on the same page? And then how much training do you have to do that?
Yeah.
How much time and effort have you put into even just thinking about this, right? Like I have a lot of
I,
people.
I already hear people listening to this. I hear your thoughts. You're like, what's the best gun for home defense? And what's the best caliber for home
Yeah,
defense? And what about over penetration? Because they obviously don't know about this stuff because they haven't talked about it yet. No,
yeah,
if you watch almost do a search on this, and that's what everybody else in my industry is talking about.
really. It's
Because
caliber.
that's the sexy stuff, right? And by the way, those decisions are important, but they're going to vary
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
on a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I've had those conversations with my friends.
there isn't a one size fits all answer to that, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, and plans don't always go the way you think they're going to go. And okay, so we can have those conversations, but is that the most important thing for us to be talking about right now?
No.
No, there are other things that are higher and more important than priority list, and people don't want to talk about it because it's not the cool, sexy stuff. Kevin
Yep.
and I both do a lot of the cool, sexy stuff. We hope that you never get to that point, and we will talk about those things at the appropriate time,
Yeah.
not at the time that you want to have that dopamine hit and you want to get into an argument about it, and they don't know because
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We're going to put it to you in a way that you're going to choose. Well, here's some criteria, and you will choose a weapon and a caliber or whatever that's
Yeah.
best for your circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like I never owned a gun, even post-military for years. I never had my license, never anything like that. And then our elected officials decided to take a whole bunch of stuff away. And when I was talking to the guys at the gun store, right, and they're like, that was the best thing it could have done for our business. Do you know how many people are now choosing to be armed at home? Right. And then you have the conversations like, okay, what would be better, a shotgun versus a pistol? Right. And so it's good. Like we're not knocking that side of it. We
Yeah,
enjoy that side
yeah.
of it. But
Don't
at
listen
the
to guys.
same
Don't
point,
listen to guys at gun stores.
yeah. Well, they're biased. They have to be. They make more money on sales, right? So,
Don't listen to guys at gun stores, and they work at gun stores. They're not trainers, and they want to be.
yeah. Well,
So they hear.
I've met some really cool guys. Like I won't say they haven't, but I hear what you're saying. In the States, it's way different. In the States, I'm sure it's way different, right? In Canada, there's not really a lot of gun stores, Todd. They're there, but there's not.
Case in point, Kevin. Case in point. You're making my point for me, Kevin. There's an exception to every rule.
I'm
Right?
teeing it up, brother.
I'll
I'm
bet
teeing
you
it
go
up.
outside right now. There's a chance that a monkey's gonna fly out my ass and I'm gonna see I'm gonna get hit by a meteorite when I walk outside. That could happen too.
Yeah, the chances of that are like getting attacked by a Canadian moose or what do you say? Meese. Yeah, you guys and
Much
your
better.
meese. Yeah.
Much better. You guys in your
Probably
niece.
more probable, to be honest, but
All right.
man, that
People
was
complain
awesome.
when we chat too much, Kevin. We're getting off course. People complain. They want us to stay on
I know.
topic.
No, stay on topic, you guys. Stay on topic. No more banter. No more banter. And then other people are like, we love your banter.
More banter. More banter.
More banter. More cowbell. More cowbell. But no, I agree. I
Don't
agree.
fear the Reaper, Kevin. Don't fear the Reaper.
Well, that was
All right.
enlightening, brother. That was
But I
fun.
digress. Hold on. I got a few more.
Oh,
Know the law. Kevin and I
nice.
have covered that in previous episodes, so check that out, right?
Sweet.
Contact the authorities, which we've touched on, and then keep old charged cell phones and megaphones around.
Nice.
So then, do you want to wrap this up now?
I think, yeah, we're getting
How
closer.
about this? How do you feel about if we do this? We do this as a series where we can do a part two, because now we can get into more nuts and bolts. Like, what do you do in the event of an unexpected home invasion? So now that was the prevention phase,
Nice.
deterrence
Beautiful.
phase,
Yes.
and
Yes.
now we can get into the action phase.
That's fantastic. I think that's
So
great.
that's a hook
Gives us
for
time.
those of you at home. There's your hook. Here's what's coming up in the next episode.
Stay tuned for part 2. I don't know why I did that. It's Halloween soon. Oh, actually, that's great.
There's the
If you think
cliffhanger.
about
There's
the
the
Halloween
cliffhanger.
stuff too, like I do a
What?
lot of Halloween stuff in my kids' dojo, and when we get close to Halloween, and man, some of the parents are like, I would have never thought of that, and it's like, man, that's all I think about. But that's why you guys come to us, because we're weird, we have issues, we think about all these things so that other people don't have to. But at the same point, we'd rather be alert, and that's why we're here on this planet to help you out. So
Everyone has their thing, right? There are things that we could learn from everybody who's watching at home.
yeah,
And then they're the person who has knowledge in that area, and we're clueless, like things that we never would have thought about, right?
yeah,
And so this just happens to be what we know.
yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. That was great. That was great. I love that it was real home defense. If there's real self-defense, that was real home defense, right? And that was fantastic. So awesome. Thanks so much, brother. Take care. Stay safe out there, especially with all the work that you're doing lately. Really appreciate you helping people out, helping them feel more safe. Just make sure you still come home at the end of the day, bro.
Amen, brother. We'll do.
Right on. Take care, everybody.
You don't want to be a bad guy who comes across me. I'll just say that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Thanks, brother.
Okay, take care, everybody. Stay safe out there.